Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. There's going to be a number of announcements as I go through this video, but I wanted to start off with this. This is a piece of acrylic I came across entirely by accident because I wasn't really looking for it. But it is, as you can see here, the same diameter as I've been using for the rolling drum build. It is just a little bit shorter. Now, in the last video, the clear winner is to go with like the sponge and for it to be inside the tank, and that's fine. But there was enough interest in the water wheel version that I wanted to give it a fair chance. So once I came across this, I decided I'm going to put together the water wheel one in this video, and there's going to be one final decision for you guys to make at the end. Now, the reason why this piece of acrylic came up is I was in where I buy all my acrylic. I've been shopping there for decades, and basically the top manager there has been there forever and knows me. He's helped me on some builds, and they've built stuff for me, and it's the kind of relationship you build. And even though you're it's just like a business relationship, but you end up kind of like making friends with some people that you end up having these business relationships with. And this is kind of a dying thing, I find, with the way retail is, the way it's heading in the last quite a while. When I first started doing business, I would try and find small businesses where I can actually, get to know the owner and basically someone who has a vested interest in what happens and, in the business itself, because I find that you end up getting much better service that way. But with the big box stores, and now even with everything going online, they're becoming a dying breed. And I still try, in the handful I still know, to continue doing business with them, simply because, you've gotten to know them over decades, and they're good acquaintances, if not friends, and I think it's the kind of thing that's well worth cultivating. So anyway, I was in there buying 2 sheets of acrylic, getting it cut up, and I was talking to them, and they're going to be moving, and instead of taking all these offcuts they have stored up and shipping them to their new location, they're going to have a big sale, which is kind of cool for me, because in the next little while I should be able to pick up a lot more of this stuff. But this one particular piece that he had there, I got dirt cheap. It was very cheap compared to what it would have cost me to buy or get cut. So that was excellent. So we get to do this. So as we go through this here, I also want to mention I've been having issues with Patreon. So anyone who said when I originally mentioned doing Patreon that they don't care for it, apparently you guys are being justified in your issues. The problem I'm having with them is not so much with the company itself or whatever, but because I'm not a U.S. resident, I have to fill out a form for, technically tax purposes, even though I don't pay U.S. taxes. And I've been having issues with it. I've been trying to fill it out. It just won't click. I can't process it. I'm in contact with Patreon. They've been very good service-wise. Unfortunately, we just can't resolve the issue. So if this continues, I'm going to have to shut it all down. And what I'm going to do is, because not everyone's had a chance to win something, I will just refund everyone's money. I'll give it all back, and the people who have won so far, that's great for you guys. I'll just I'll foot the bill for that, and that'll be that. Which also brings me to one particular individual, Fred. He was one of the people who didn't care for Patreon, and his issues I thought were more for how much money they take out of you, which is bad enough. But anyway, he didn't want to deal with that, so he actually just e-transferred me some money. And so, Fred, no draw this month, but you get to pick something, and I'll build it for you, and I'll send it to you. And unfortunately, like I said, if I manage to get this stuff resolved in the next few weeks, I will have a regular draw on for March. But February is all you, Fred, so get a hold of me, let me know what you want, and I'll build it and send it off to you. Alright, so what I'm doing here is what I should have done for when I was doing the water wheel the first time. A couple of commenters mentioned that if it was full of sponge, like not just sponge here, sponge there, but the whole thing would have sponge in it, there would be less splashing. And I think it's probably like a valid point. So I thought, well, because this piece of acrylic came up, I'm going to build it. So what I'm going to do here, but the other thing I want to do is I want to obviously glue everything in place, get it set so it has all the possible chances of working properly. And then the choice you guys are going to have this time is going to be an in tank, because I don't think a hob is going to work anyway. And in this particular, because it's this is a really large diameter, right? So it's going to be in tank. It's going to go to a tray system of some kind. So what I want to do is there's two options. At the end, you'll see what I'm getting at. I can stack these two things. I can have both wheels running in the same filter, one above the other, and you'll see how the feeding is going to work for that by the end. And that could be just one big filter, go through two wheels into a tray system and back into the tank. Or we can do a comparison. I can run these on separate tanks, and we can run the bio wheel with the sponge in one of them going to a tray system, and of course the same for this in the other one. So that is a choice for this. Either one big Rube Goldberg filter, we can still be able to compare how they go over time, like how gunk builds up in them, how they turn, whether they slow down, all that sort of stuff, and how easy to clean can still be done with one filter. But if you want to do a comparison for filtration, I don't think there's really going to be enough of a difference between the two of them, but I can set these up in separate tanks. They both have their own tray, and we can see how they all work out in the long term that way as well. I mean, it's up to you guys. So here it's all done. As you can see, I went through this. I tried to take as much care as possible to get these in the right positions and set up so that they won't have any interference in how they turn. And I think it turned out reasonably well. I think a couple of them are just a shade off, but I don't think it's going to make any difference in how it's all going to turn out in the end. So I took all the tape off, and I'm just going to do the final gluing now, just to make sure it's all secure. And the other thing I had a little bit of issue with was I need to obviously put sponge in each one of these, and I didn't have quite enough. So I think about 4 of the 8 sponges are just a little thinner than they should be. I was trying to go for 2-inch gap, 2-inch between them, so that they fit firmly. And I think the 4 of them are about a 1 3/4. So you'll see as this goes around here, there's a couple that seem a little shorter than the others. It's not a big deal as far as just this goes. But we'll see how it goes along, and if it gets to the point where I need to do something different with it, I will. Because actually, here's one thing that came up right away. As you can see, one fell out like almost right away. But that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this off here, and I'm going to use fishing line to tie it all in place, and you can see it there now, and we'll get it all running again. And so this is just a little bit narrower. As you can see, the spray bar is a bit too wide for this particular one, and it is causing a bit of splashing. But this is a lot less splashing than the other one, like the original run for this. And so you guys are right. Filling them all with sponges definitely cuts down a lot of splashing. It is obviously splashing a lot more than a sponge alone, because that had absolutely none. But a little bit of extra turbulence is not a bad thing in this kind of filter. It will help with the degassing. But that will be proven out as these two things go long term. So there you go. You can see, like I said, a lot of turbulence there. The splashing on the right and a little bit on the left is just because it's hitting the edge of the wheel. So that's just, don't pay attention to that, but just try and watch the part in the middle. It still has a fair amount of turbulence there, but it is not the same. So this is what it used to be like before, like from the last video, and you can see there's a lot more splashing here, so it does cut down on quite a bit. Now, the last couple clips here is I want to show you for the stacking the two wheels in one filter. You can see how smooth that is. So this will obviously be the one on the top. And the other thing I noticed is it doesn't come straight down at the bottom. It comes, and once it rolls past, you can see it's past the center. So these two will stack perfectly, and they'll run each other just obviously in opposite directions. So there you go. Just let me know in the comments below what you think of all this, and make your choices, of course. And sorry about the Patreon guys, but Fred, definitely get a hold of me, and I will build something for you, send it off to you. Hopefully I'll get my issues worked out with that. If not, leave suggestions below. If anyone thinks there's who's involved with the Patreon or wants to be involved with something like that or whatever, suggestions for other ways of doing it, and that would be much appreciated as well, and maybe we can start something else up instead. But for the moment, we're just gonna either figure that out or shut it down, and I'll definitely let you know soon. So if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. That'll be much appreciated, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.